Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Mr Deputy Speaker, I rise today to speak on the Integrity and Ethics Commissioner Bill. Very pleased to stand to speak on this bill today, but I speak with great concern. This bill fundamentally reshapes our integrity system here in the Northern Territory. We have heard in this chamber that this bill is the answer to the Territory's unique needs as a small jurisdiction with complex integrity challenges. But, Mr Deputy Speaker, it's because the Territory is so small that we need the strongest possible independent integrity bodies and conflict of interest management policies. We need them precisely because we are so small, not despite it. Being a small jurisdiction is not an excuse to give up on integrity. If anything, we must fight to protect it. But this bill, Mr Deputy Speaker, does the opposite. I'm sure every single one of us in this chamber are deeply committed to integrity, to ethical practice and to addressing corruption. We're all deeply familiar with the problems that we face here in the Territory, with the history of ICAC and the lack of confidence the community has had in this body. This moment now should be a welcome moment. We could be here debating a bill which will actually address these issues and strengthen our integrity agencies here in the Territory. But, Mr Deputy Speaker, that's not what we're doing. To help inform good lawmaking, I hope the government would refer this bill to their Legislative Scrutiny Committee, the committee, as we all know, that's set up precisely to examine a bill to say whether or not it will work to achieve its outcomes, to its purposes, and to help inform all of us here as lawmakers. But because, ironically, the government refused to refer this bill to the Scrutiny Committee, and because there was a very short time frame to reflect on and analyse this bill, I established a community scrutiny forum and invited integrity experts, stakeholders and concerned Territorians to make submissions. The responses from integrity experts across Australia, organisations and community members here in the Northern Territory was unequivocal. This bill should not pass in this form. Mr Deputy Speaker, surely we can do better. We all know that our integrity bodies need reform, but we need to make the right decisions now, informed by real expertise to avoid further problems down the road. And when we have an opportunity, as we do now, to fix something which we all want and need, let's take that opportunity and let's get it right. Mr Deputy Speaker, the Community Scrutiny Forum received submissions reviewing and providing advice on the Integrity and Ethics Commissioner Bill from from Australia's leading integrity and transparency organisations and experts, including Transparency International, the Centre for Public Integrity, the Australian Democracy Network and former Commonwealth Ombudsman and Chair of Fairer Future, Alan Asher. The forum also received submissions from local organisations representing Territorians who use the integrity bodies that are currently being condensed in this bill: NAJA, the NT Mental Health Coalition and the NT Lived Experience Network. Mr Deputy Speaker, integrity experts are not our opponents. They're not raising concerns because they're anti-government or because they're anti-CLP or trying to score political points. They have no political agenda here. Their job, indeed their entire purpose, is to help us get this right. They are offering decades of experience free of charge to ensure that we build a system that protects every single Territorian. Why on earth would we not listen to that? Why would we reject advice from the very people whose mission it is to strengthen good governance and prevent past mistakes from being repeated? These experts are not warning us because they want to embarrass the government. They're warning us because, in their professional view, this bill will fail and because they want to help us avoid these failures before they hurt real people. And before anyone says interstate experts don't understand the Territory, integrity systems are not about geography. They're about good governance. These people understand integrity systems, and we here in this chamber understand the Northern Territory. When we bring those strengths together, Territorians get the best outcome. We should welcome that advice, not dismiss it, because if we take it seriously, we have a genuine opportunity to build an integrity system that is robust, that's trusted, that's fit for purpose, and that's truly worthy of the Territorians that we represent. Their guidance gives us a chance to get this right together. Mr. Deputy Speaker, every single submission that we received opposed this bill or raised serious concerns about both its design and its consequences. Concerns were raised about excessive concentration of power, built-in conflicts of interest, loss of specialist expertise, repeating past failures, threats to the Auditor-General's independence, harm to vulnerable people, weak, insufficient oversight, and the removal of independent statutory officers. These concerns are being raised by Australia's leading experts in integrity and by organisations here on the ground who support people to navigate the very systems this bill proposes to condense. Ignoring their advice and passing this bill will do a disservice to the people we represent. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I seek leave to table the submissions received and to the report from the Community Scrutiny Forum.
Is leave granted? I agree. Leave is granted.
For those watching at home, these submissions and the report, as well as information about the Community Scrutiny Forum and a short summary of the findings of that forum, are available on my website for anyone to read. And I also note that the summary report was sent to every member of this chamber yesterday to help inform the debate today. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this bill will make accountability harder for vulnerable Territorians to achieve. Who needs the ICAC? Who needs the Ombudsman and the Health Complaints Commission most? The Ombudsman is where vulnerable Territorians go with complaints about government agencies when they feel powerless and unheard. For example, prisoners who have experienced assault in prison. The ICAC is where public servants calling out corruption go when they are brave enough to speak out and risk their careers. The Health Complaints Commission is where vulnerable Territorians seeking accountability after unacceptable experiences in our healthcare system turn when something has gone terribly wrong. These are the people who depend on these bodies working well. They're on the front line of bearing the consequences if we weaken our integrity framework, but weakening it will not only harm them, it will harm all of us. I want to highlight some of the key advice from the submissions we received because I believe this is guidance that will help all of us make better, stronger law for Territorians. In regards to what the bill prescribes in terms of structural separation and institutional expertise, Transparency International said, each agency's function is profoundly different from each other, although they may require investigative and support staff with similar skill sets. Each requires its own institutional culture, its own risk appetite, professional expertise, and independent profile. They warn that critically, this bill creates a single point of failure in the integrity system where compromise, incapacity, or poor performance of one individual affects all four accountability mechanisms simultaneously. Without assistant commissioners providing operational leadership for each function, there is substantial risk of diluting the anti-corruption mandate, as routine complaints and administrative reviews consume the Commissioner's attention and resources that should be devoted to corruption detection and prevention. It risks blurring lines when matters overlap, creating confusion about which statutory framework applies. And in addition, the workload implications for one Commissioner are substantial, even with supporting staff. Transparency International also highlighted a further concern, which is that one of the review's essential recommendations was separating the functions of the quasi-judicial decision-making performed by the Commissioner and the public sector management performed by a CEO. However, the bill provides minimal legislative speculation of this critical role. It includes no provisions regarding CEO appointment process, eligibility criteria, terms and conditions, specific statutory powers and functions, or relationship with the Commissioner. Mr. Deputy Speaker, on the lack of scrutiny and democratic process, which we have heard about in this chamber already, Alan Asher, ex-Commonwealth Ombudsman and from Fairer Future, said, as as Justine Davis rightly noted in Parliament, it is astounding that the government did not refer this bill to the Scrutiny Committee for oversight before introducing it. The review itself involved no public consultation. The government intends to pass this bill today, allowing minimal time for public input or parliamentary examination. The bill is an extraordinary concentration of power that deserves the most thorough examination possible, not a rushed debate and refusal of proper scrutiny. And on this same matter, Naja stated, the report recognised the need for targeted and extensive legislative amendments, careful transition planning and sustained engagement with affected officers and key stakeholders to ensure continuity of operations. Despite this, the bill was introduced 2 months after the report and was not referred to the Parliamentary Scrutiny Committee. And despite the NT's regulation framework recognising the importance of public consultation, there's been no public consultation process or any opportunity for affected communities, complainants or representatives to assess and inform the legislative design and the transitional arrangements. The absence of transparent, inclusive consultation risks further undermining public confidence in a restructure that is intended to rebuild trust and increases the risk of unintended operational and governance consequences during and after transition. And Naja also went on to say that we urge the NT government to pause, consult and co-design an integrity framework that reflects the lived realities, the rights and expectations of all Territorians, and to ensure that any reform strengthens, not erodes, the mechanisms intended to safeguard them. On the issue of consolidation of power and conflicts of interest, Alan Asher said, consolidating 4 distinct statutory offices into a single commissioner raises serious concerns about independence, conflict of interest, loss of specialisation and concentration of power. And the Australian Democracy Network said, compromised independence of the inspector's staff, while the Integrity and Ethics Oversight Inspector is legally not subject to direction by any person, the inspector's staff structure undermines their operational independence. The staff consists of persons employed in an agency who are merely made available by the Chief Executive Officer of the agency under arrangement with the inspector. This reliance on staff seconded from government agencies, which are subjects of the Commissioner's and Inspector's oversight, introduces a structural dependence on the very entities that the Inspector is mandated to invest. The Centre for Public Integrity stated that the government claims that the Inspector can manage these inevitable conflicts through a built-in mechanism. This approach, however, relies on the Commissioner to self-identify any conflicts and report them. This kind of self-accountability is not a reliable way to overcome the inevitable array of conflicts. For this reason, this super commission is likely to lead to actual or perceived conflicts of interest that undermine the ability of the integrity system to secure public trust in government. The Centre for Public Integrity emphasised that any legislative reform to the NT integrity system must preserve an independent anti-corruption commission. To work effectively, this NT-ICAC must have suitable oversight. Effective oversight requires more than oversight by an inspector. It also requires a joint parliamentary committee that plays an important role in the appointment, funding and general oversight of these commissions. This is recognised in Principle 12 of the Fundamental Principles of Australian Anti-Corruption Commissions. The bill also poses risks to vulnerable people and lived experience communities, and the Northern Territory Mental Health Coalition said that for people with mental health concerns, particularly those living with psychosocial disability, trauma histories or cognitive impairments, this consolidation may create confusion about where and how to make a complaint. Apprehension that a health-related concern could become a more serious or punitive matter, reduced confidence that staff will have mental health literacy or consumer expertise, loss of a specialist health-focused entry point that is visible, safe and trusted. The consolidation of functions risks reinforcing the perception that making a complaint is intimidating or unsafe. There are precedents, such as in Tasmania, where a health complaints function is exercised by a consolidated statutory office though consumer protections and safeguards remain, such as retaining specialist staff, ongoing training and clear complaints pathways. This bill does not reference consumer engagement, despite being a major structural reform that affects the rights and safety of mental health consumers. In the Northern Territory context, where the Coalition and the Mental Health Coalition and the Northern Territory Lived Experience Network are establishing a consumer peak body co-funded by NT Health, this is a missed opportunity. The Northern Territory will be undertaking a dangerous structural experiment, placing the rights, safety and well-being of vulnerable Territorians at risk. And the Northern Territory Lived Experience Network said no modern integrity system allows senior oversight officials to report to a politically appointed CEO, complaints bodies to be controlled through ministerial appointments, corruption, health and ombudsman functions to be structurally subordinated within a hierarchy controlled by government. This structure is unsafe and unprecedented. Mr Deputy Speaker, drawing together these submissions, the evidence and our own history here in the Northern Territory, the key concerns of this bill can be summarised as follows. The bill vests sweeping authority in a single commissioner responsible for 4 fundamentally different functions: corruption investigations, administrative complaints, freedom of information decisions and health complaints. No other Australian jurisdiction uses such a model. Experts have warned us that merging these functions is unsafe, unworkable and removes vital checks and balances. They warn it also risks catastrophic failure if the wrong person is appointed to this role. The bill collapses functions that must remain separate. Matters such as corruption in health contracts and complaints about hospital care would be handled by the same office. The only safeguard is that the Commissioner must self-identify conflicts between investigations, something experts say is neither realistic nor adequate. Previous reviews recommended establishing Assistant Commissioners to preserve independence and specialist knowledge. This bill ignores that advice, leaving complex, high-risk work to generalist staff who may be moved, removed or under-resourced at any time. We've been here before, and in 2011 the NT separated the Health Complaints Commissioner from the Ombudsman because the roles clashed. This bill reverses that reform, recreating the very risks that here in the NT we previously eliminated. Other jurisdictions have also previously combined statutory authorities in a similar way, only to undo the changes because they failed. The bill also gives the new inspector the power to investigate and assess the Auditor General, who is an officer who must report directly to Parliament without interference. Experts, including the Australian Council of Auditor Generals, have warned that this would expose the Auditor General to political pressure and compromise financial accountability. The proposed inspector would wield broad powers with minimal accountability and no proper parliamentary review. And despite, in terms of the Assistant Commissioners, despite the McClintock-Highley report recommending that the Assistant Commissioners have statutory powers, the bill fails to do this. It's unclear why the government ignored this recommendation. To be clear, this bill does not give statutory authority to the new Assistant Commissioners, meaning government would no longer be required to act on advice from the Assistant ICAC, Ombudsman or Health Complaints Commissioner. Our report makes clear recommendations based on the submissions that we received. They consistently recommended that we do not proceed with the bill in its current form and make the following recommendations. Number 1, that the government should immediately withdraw the Integrity and Ethics Commissioner Bill 2025. 2, establish a comprehensive review led by 3 independent experts open to public submissions. This review must engage integrity specialists, legal groups, civil society and affected communities and allow adequate time for detailed analysis. It should adopt the Australian Anti-Corruption Commission principles. 3, conduct genuine consultation with people with lived experience of mental illness, disability and health complaints, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, integrity and democracy experts, legal and human rights advocates and staff from existing integrity bodies. 4. Any future bill must be referred to the Legislative Scrutiny Committee, released as an exposure draft for line-by-line review and revised in response to identified issues. 5. Strengthen existing integrity systems through secure funding, improved recruitment practices, clear statutory independence, adequate investigative resourcing and a genuine political commitment to transparency and accountability. When integrity experts oppose a law that makes such significant changes to our very integrity system, we are doing all Territorians a disservice when we ignore their advice. Mr Deputy Speaker, I strongly urge this Assembly, given the overwhelming advice received by us from these integrity experts, by all of us here in this chamber, not to pass this bill today. This is not about being anti-reform. I absolutely accept that there are real problems that need fixing in our integrity system, including under-resourcing, including ongoing acting appointments, including recruitment failures. But fixing these problems requires adequate funding, political commitment to independence, and a properly worked out statutory framework that is actually going to protect us all, not concentrating power and removing safeguards. As the integrity experts told us, no reform should proceed that weakens public confidence in the integrity system, and this bill fails that test completely. Mr Deputy Speaker, I urge this chamber and the government to withdraw this bill, to do the work properly and give the NT a model that truly strengthens rather than weakens the integrity system that we all deserve. Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Member for Johnston. Member for Pine.